Welcome back to All Folks Racing PlayStation. Welcome back to the World Grand Theft Championship. We are still at round 1 out of 5, and this is race 2. And of course, we continue to be with the amazing 4 GTLM GTE version. And again, we are at the Indy Road Course as the opening round of this 5-round championship. Race 1 was won by Simon Allen, followed by George Jesus and Scott Davely. What will race 2 have for us as Diogo Silva and George Jesus in all Portuguese front row, followed by Simon Allen, Del Taylor, Darren Hand, Scott Davely, Kev Allen and Gonçalo Mota, followed by Wayne Robinson, John Scott only in 10th, and David Emge completing the 11 starters for this race. We saw plenty of action in race 1. Will we see similar action in race 2? Look at the start, and Simon Allen, what a start. The winner of race 1 is to go straight into the lead of race 2. Yes, what a start by Simon Allen, followed by Diogo Silva, that black car, and George Jesus in 3rd place as they all scramble now for turn 1. George Jesus has someone on the inside, that is Darren Head. I believe Darren Head up into 3rd, or at least battling to do so, as Diogo Silva in that number 2 black car, trying to salvage something from this round after... Ooh, and Gonçalo Mota already lost his rear wing. I wonder what on earth happened there, as Scott Davely is down into 9th. So we may have had some missed action here, as Darren Head in 4th place again, trying to charge for 3rd place with George Jesus. And George is getting very defensive indeed there, as they go at the end of the back straight, quite a heavy braking point. Diogo Silva also challenging for the lead with Simon Allen, but Simon Allen is again going to lead the first lap of this race. The winner of race 1 also led the opening lap of the first race before dropping back and then recovering, as Gonçalo Mota, who finished 7th in race 1 after being in 4th place for most of the race, is running wide there, missing the apex. And also we're not quite sure how he lost his rear wing, but he's under pressure now from Del Taylor, and I think we're about to find out what actually happened in the start. This is from Scott's perspective. Scott in 6th place. Look at the start by Simon Allen, that white car. Gonçalo Mota side by side there with Scott. Scott gives him room, but I think the action is all about to happen here in turn 1, which is a heavy braking point. Scott on the inside there of Gonçalo, and and yes, it was Scott. A bit of a concertina effect there with Del Taylor, and Scott Davely also getting a slight bump and run there by, I believe, John Scott. And now Kev Allen is trying to get on the outside of Scott, so not the greatest of starts for the American driver, who finished on the podium in the first race. Now drops back from 6th to 9th on the first lap. This is the replay from David Emge's perspective from 11th place. You can see again that white car jumping in the middle and taking the lead of the race. This is Wayne Robinson, David Emge, and in 9th place I believe that's going to be John Scott, followed by Kev Allen, and David is going to come on the inside, and there's the replay of the concertina effect. Boom, boom, boom. There you go, a bit of a snooker effect there with Wayne Robinson, Gonçalo Mota and Del Taylor all involved, and in the end it is Gonçalo Mota's rear wing who got the worst out of it. But of course that's only visual damage here in All Folks Racing PlayStation. The car of Gonçalo Mota continues to be perfectly operational, and he's there in 5th place as they finish lap 1. And Simon Allen again won. Oh, look at that, this is close racing, isn't it? Everyone pretty much in the same screen, as Simon Allen, the winner of race 1, potential championship contender here with the GTE car. Well, everyone now in their second lap. Darren Head didn't quite Darren Head Darren Head is in the gravel. Darren Head is in the gravel. This is huge, and this is spinning round and round. Look at the lockup there by... Did he hit anyone there? And I don't think so. I think he just lost it on his own. Let's see the replay here, as he's out of shape there, and then just basically now in the gravel, and he cannot press the reset button. Cars are just too close. He's gonna drop right down to, well, not last. He's and something happened with Kev Allen as well, because he's now in 11. He was in 8th place before. He's now under pressure from Wayne Robinson here in turn 1. Big lockup there, I believe it's by Darren. And Kev Allen, what's going to happen here? And Kev is perhaps going to join Darren in sympathy. Oh, yes, he is. Oh, and then gets hit by another driver, I believe it was. Well, couldn't quite figure out who it was. It was potentially David Emge. But now, just like in race 1, Darren Head and Kev Allen, who were together for most of the race at the back, they did manage to recover to 4th and 6th respectively. So we'll keep an eye on that battle, as they are now sitting 10th and 11th. Not the start of the season that Darren wanted, with incidents already in both races delaying him. Now Diogo Silva is under pressure from Jorge Jesus. Jorge very quick in this part of the track, as we saw in race 1. And here comes now, oh, and Simon Allen Simon Allen heads to pit lane. So Simon Allen has a drive-through, and that start did look a little bit too good to be true. Bad news for Simon Allen. This is probably the longest pit lane ever in Project Cars 2, as the Indianapolis pit lane is of course sized to host the Indianapolis 500 with 33 drivers. Of course runs in the opposite direction as they are going, and of course it runs in the oval track, but the pit lane is incredibly long. So Simon Allen definitely losing a lot of ground. And now look at the last 3 drivers there. Actually David Emge is already in 9th, but Darren Head 8th place, 10th is Kev Allen, and 11th is Simon Allen, as now we've got the Portuguese front row are again 1st and 2nd, as Diogo Silva tries to hold on from that lead from Jorge Jesus, and meanwhile Gonçalo Mota up into 3rd place under pressure from Dale Taylor. Dale, of course, he finished 9th in race 1. He wants to have a go at the podium here and try to salvage some points for the championship, as Darren Head is in 8th place with that number 20. And Diogo Silva is holding on to that lead for the time being. Jorge Jesus very quick in this last part of the circuit, as they are about to complete another lap, completion of lap 3 out of 15. And that Black 4 is now leading for the 2nd lap in a row, as he goes defensive already, and George tries to go with him, but George may try something in turn 1 here. I think he was a little bit too far behind, as Dale Taylor continues to put pressure on Gonçalo Mota, and behind these 2 drivers it is Scott Davely in 5th place, followed by, look at Wayne Robinson up into 6th place. Nicely done there, ahead of John Scott as well. We couldn't quite catch that action, but nicely done there by Wayne Robinson, up into 6th place, the rookie, ahead of very, very prestigious names in all Fox Racing PlayStation. John Scott, race winner. Darren Head, race winner. David Emge, race winner in the Oval Championship. Kev Allen, race champion and winner. And Simon Allen, of course, also champion and winner. So Wayne Robinson has their very big shoes to fill, as he's starting to go under pressure from John Scott. John, of course, is now in 7th place. Kev Allen is in 10th. Trying to put some pressure on David Emge. Keep an eye on that battle for 9th place. And again, in these early stages, we are seeing close racing and overtakes. Perhaps not as much as the Ginetta, but still pretty good. And look at this, is Dale Taylor really going after Gonçalo Mota. Gonçalo spent the entire race 1 defending from other drivers before running wide marginally a few corners ago and losing 3 places in the process, from 4th to 7th. Now he's trying to hold on to a podium position, and Dale Taylor, ooh, look at this, Dale on the outside, but outside of turn 1 is a little bit tricky because it's an easy peasy type of defense there by Gonçalo Mota. He just has to run a little bit wide and block the track, as he's entitled to do. It's his racing line, it's his position, but Dale Taylor definitely looks as if he's got a lot of pace at this point. Through the chicane they go, now into the back straight, and seems to me that Dale is going to try something. Gonçalo already going defensive on the inside, and Dale will have to decide if he wants to go around the outside, which is always tricky, but he's going for it. And it might be that he's done it. Yes, he's done it. Well done by Dale Taylor, the South African driver, going up into 3rd place. That was a good move there by Dale, and Gonzalo now running a little bit wide there. Where is Scott Davely? And this is the replay potentially of John Scott on Wayne Robinson, battle for 6th place, same livery, and Wayne and Wayne spins around on his own, loses quite a lot of time, but only a couple of positions. Then head up into 7th and Kev Allen up into 8th by just the tightest of margins. Wayne Robinson down into 9th place, still David Emily in 10th, and Simon Allen, who of course had that drive-through, is still 15 seconds away from David Emily. We are already on lap 5. As Diogo Silva, the leader, finds a little bit of breathing space, at least not to be in immediate threat from Jorge. Jorge in 2nd place. Now look at this, he's closing in the first corner. Scott Davely behind Gonçalo Mota, 5th place. Gonçalo locking up, as plenty of other drivers have done here in this turn 1. Scott Davely in 5th spot. He finished on the podium. He actually led briefly the race. Lap 6 already underway, so we are approaching very quickly the midpoint of this race. Then head in 7th behind John Scott, followed by Kev Allen, who was very close to him during the entire race 1. It seems to me that Darren is trying to get that 6th place and could potentially get it. Seems to have more pace at the moment. The matter is how to... and there he's almost lost it there. Nice save. That would have been disastrous, as it would have dropped him back further. Another lap is complete. Lap 7 is about to start for race leader Diogo Silva, who is 1.2 seconds ahead of Jorge Jesus. As they are now, look at this, John Scott going defensive there at the end of lap 6. Darren continues to follow him. I think he's a little bit too far behind for a move in turn 1. Could be a bit of a dive bomb. Didn't... and John Scott did leave some room open, and it seems that Darren... almost looked too easy there for Darren to go through. John Scott did leave room, but lost a bit of momentum as well in the exit of the corner, and then head up into 6th place. John Scott down to 7th, and Kev Allen is in 8th, as Scott Davely is now very close to Gonçalo Mota, and ahead of the two we see Dale Taylor in 3rd place. Scott still hoping for another podium here. He's in 5th place, could be up into 4th, and then of course we'll rely on some of the drivers ahead having problems, but could still be in contention for a podium, Scott Davely here. But first he needs to find a way around that yellow car of Gonçalo Mota. Another lap is complete, as the leader Diogo Silva starts lap 8. He's led every lap of this race except the first 2 that were led by Simon Allen. Look at this, Scott Davely running wide there in the last corner. And again, Gonçalo Mota, well, he does not feel even the need to go defensive this time around, as Scott is clearly way behind, and no realistic move in turn 1 is possible, as the drivers seem to have tamed this car a little bit more now, and they're just holding on for the right opportunity to overtake. As Scott Davely continues to follow that this yellow car of Gonçalo Mota, 4th place. Now we'll keep an eye on Darren Head in 6th place, because he could, well, not visibly right now, he was the fastest driver amongst this trio of Gonçalo Mota, Scott Davely and himself, so he is closing in, but the gap is still a second, so it's not huge. But we'll keep an eye on how Darren Head can go up the field, as Jorge Jesus now has lost quite a lot of time, 2.3 seconds behind Diogo here, as they complete another lap. Scott Davely very close to Gonçalo Mota, could make a move into turn 1, again running wide, which is probably does not help his cause right now here, as they complete another lap. We have 6 laps to go at this point. Scott Davely very close to Gonçalo Mota, but still too far behind to make a plausible clean move into turn 1. However, it does seem that the American driver is faster at this point, and he's also seeing that red and black thing in his mirror, and that is Darren Head, multiple champion, multiple race winner, coming to recover after that slight incident on his own in lap 2. And Scott probably would love to clear Gonçalo before Darren comes into the picture, but I'm not sure that will be possible, as he's now made a mistake there at the exit of that corner, and now in fact Darren is closer to him than he is closer to Gonçalo. So Scott Davely will have to start looking in his mirrors, because that big blob of Darren Head's car is coming, as David Emge in 10th place is putting pressure on Wayne Robinson. That's for a top 10 here. Well, not the top 10, they're both in the top 10, but for 9th place. Simon Allen, by the way, is still 10 seconds away from these two, so I'm not sure Simon realistically has it. Look at this, David is going for it. Almost contact there between Wayne Robinson and David Emge. Nice battle here for 9th place. Look at this is finally Gonçalo Mota on... we are going backwards in time as Gonçalo goes defensive, but I think Scott decided that this is the moment right now. And he's going on the outside there, which is not perhaps the best idea, but maybe he's going to go... Almost contact there as Gonçalo Mota is really defending hard, and now Darren Head is already into the picture, so that dream scenario of Scott clearing Gonçalo before Darren comes into the picture, I don't think that has materialized at all, and Darren potentially could go eventually up into 4th place here, as he's coming with a lot of pace indeed. Nice battle here for 4th place. Look at Gonçalo Mota now defending big time, a bit of early braking there in after the back straight, and now they're absolutely nose to tail, as Darren Head is trying to work on Scott Davely to start with. And of course this is... and now Scott makes a mistake. Someone is stopped there. That is George Jesus. George Jesus is stopped on the track. So some problem with his connection, and oh dear, he's lost 2nd place. This is the replay of... And look at that, they go, and Darren Head potentially goes up into 4th now, because he's he's going into 4th place now. Nicely done there by Darren Head. So Darren Head goes up 1 position because George Jesus has retired from this race, and up 1 position because he has passed Scott Davely on the track. Nice move there. So Dale Taylor is now in 2nd. That's George Jesus looking at the sky. Dale Taylor is up into 2nd, but now is almost 8 seconds behind race leader Diogo Silva, who is looking good for his first win in the new season. Scott Davely in 5th place, and Gonçalo Mota, look at this, Darren Head outbraked himself there in turn 1. Here comes Scott Davely, and Gonçalo Mota up again into a podium position. That was the position he had at the beginning of the race before he lost 3rd place, what was then 3rd place, to Dale Taylor. Dale now up into 2nd, and Gonçalo still in 3rd. This is a few moments ago between Wayne Robinson and David Emge, and David on the inside there of turn 1. Let's see how this what ends up happening here. There's potentially some drama. Oh, and David is up into 9th place there. Nicely done by David in turn 3. So David up into 9th, Wayne Robinson in 10th, and Simon Allen, yes, Simon Allen, who led this race early on, still 9 seconds from these drivers, as we are now, there he is at the back of the white car. We have only 5 laps to go, and Simon Allen is stuck in 11th place, and I'm not sure how he's going to get out of there unless someone in front of him makes a mistake. David Emge is checking out from Wayne Robinson. Wayne going down the order as he was in 6th place at one point. That number 2 car, first time that we've seen this car lead in this season, as he did not lead any lap in the first race. Dale Taylor, that number 59, in 2nd place. Looks like a Ferrari, but it is a Ford GTE, as Dale, after finishing 9th in race 1, is now looking for a much better result with potentially 2nd place in race 2. This is Gonçalo Mota in 3rd, and guess what? Scott Davely and Darren Head have continued their battles, and that's only allowing not only Gonçalo Mota to check out, but also John Scott to get closer to the back of Scott Davely. John running in 6th place now. Of course, everyone went up 1 place with George's retirement, as Kev Allen is in 7th place. David Emge up into 8th. 9th is Wayne Robinson, and 10th is Simon Allen. We have 10 cars still running in this race. George loses the retirement, and Darren Head potentially still looking for a podium here, as he is pursuing Scott Davely, pursuing Gonçalo Mota, sorry, as Scott Davely has dropped back into 5th place. Now things are a bit more sorted now, no immediate wheel-to-wheel battles on the track, so a good time to see where we are with this race. Lap 12 already, 3 laps to go at the line for the leader Diogo Silva, who is looking good, 8 seconds of a gap over Dale Taylor. Then is Gonçalo Mota, then is Darren Head, and this is, look at this, this is these two are at it again, 8th and 9th now. David Emge and Wayne Robinson. This is the closest battle we have on the track right now. And of course, all Fox Racing PlayStation, we see battles through the field. It doesn't matter if you are leading or if you are battling not to finish last, but definitely a nice battle here for 8th place. Let's look at the gap to 11. Simon Allen is going faster. 5 seconds to go, but only 3 laps. This is a few moments ago, and this is Darren Head and Gonçalo Mota. Big lock up there ahead of them. That was, I believe, Dale Taylor, and big lock up as well by Darren. But he managed still to go very close to Gonçalo, and potentially is going to go for a move here. Not sure about that, as Gonçalo again negotiates the perfect line to defend there. He's well, currently podium position. And here comes Darren Head now, and he is possibly going to try and move there on the inside. Possibly trying to go on the inside here, and yeah, whoa, whoa, whoa. Darren Head spins, and that was that a slightly late move from Gonçalo? It appears for that to be the case, and Darren Head disastrously loses a few positions. Gonçalo was entitled to defend, but Darren was already sort of committing to what was in itself a slightly late move. Gonçalo just took the racing line slightly to the inside, and Darren just at that point lost control of the car. Now he is down to 6th place. John Scott up into 5th, and Scott Davely up into 4th. And again, we have John Scott running very close to Scott Davely, as we usually see in the old Fox Racing PlayStation. They're normally right next to each other. Darren Head now trying to recover 6th place from 5th place, sorry, from John Scott. Kev Allen is still 7th, followed by David Emge, Wayne Robinson, and Simon Allen. And here comes now Darren Head on the inside there of John Scott, and that was game, set, and match for Darren, as he is now up into 5th place. Now Scott Davely has, for the first time, a realistic chance of a podium, because he is in 4th place. And Gonçalo Mota in 3rd is right ahead of him, as we are entering the closing stages of this race with only a couple of laps to go. And Diogo Silva now 7.1 seconds. The gap has gone down, but I think that's just Diogo managing the gap and avoiding errors. Scott Davely now can see that 3rd place right in front of him, and he is going for it. Darren Head slightly out of shape there, as John Scott is again right on his tail, and Darren will have to work a bit harder if he is to have any chance of challenging for a podium. Only a couple of laps left here, as we are on lap 13. The leader is already on lap 14, so 2 laps to go for everyone right now. And Scott Davely is challenging for the podium now. Gonçalo Mota again going defensive. Gonçalo Mota again going defensive. He's been defending for 2 races in a row, very effectively indeed. And Scott Davely, no chance there of going ahead of Gonçalo, and he again feels that car of Darren Head approaching and approaching and approaching, with the difference that now John Scott is in the middle of it as well. So I don't think this group of 4 cars, 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th, is in any shape or form resolved at this point, as the leader will enter the last lap very, very shortly indeed. 1 more lap to go after this, and Scott Davely surely is going to have to make a move in the next lap, because Darren Head is already trying to make moves on him. So now he has to basically, oh, look at this, Darren Head was trying to go around the outside there. Now this is the opportunity for Darren Head to go ahead in this corner. Scott Davely has been overtaking multiple times here, and here comes Darren Head on Scott Davely, and I think it's going to be job done. No, Scott says this time round, not really. And no way, Jose. Now Scott Davely defends, and here comes Darren Head now being under pressure from John Scott, and this is the beginning of the last lap. And I'll tell you who's loving this. It's Gonçalo Mota, because Gonçalo has managed to check out a few car lengths as they enter the last lap. Here comes Scott Davely, John Scott and Darren Head side by side there between all these 3 drivers. John Scott, look at Darren Head, he's going on the inside as Scott Davely locks up, and now almost and here comes Kev Allen to join this action as well, because as they tangle, as they race each other, they are just losing time, and this is absolute. And here comes Kev Allen on John Scott. John Scott tries to run side by side, didn't quite work, as Kev Allen is up into 6th place. A few more corners to go in this race, and now Gonçalo Mota is going for his first ever podium on Old Fox Racing PlayStation in a championship race. We've seen it in the podium on the Endurance League, but never on a championship race. And here comes the win for Diogo Silva, and that is a good result for him in the second race, as he only finished 5th in the first race. Diogo Silva is going to win this race, race 2, round 1. That's Diogo Silva, followed by Dale Taylor. Dale Taylor also having a much better result in race 2 than in race 1. He finished 9th in race 1 and now takes 2nd place in race 2. And now, who is it going to be? Is it Gonçalo Mota, Scott Davely, or Darren Head? Gonçalo Mota is going for a podium position, and that's nicely done by Gonçalo, as he finishes in 3rd. 4th is Scott Davely, 5th is Darren Head, 6th is John Scott, and 7th is Kev Allen. What a race here in the midfield we had, as usual. And look at this. This is David Emge in 8th place, but Simon Allen is going for it in the last corner. Simon Allen is going for it in the last corner, and Simon Allen ahead of Wayne Robinson, and ends up like that as we finish the race, as we finish this round. And round 2 in Mugello will provide closer racing just next week. Stay tuned.